second video in my series Spending Freeze 101, and I'm calling this one Get Reacquainted with Your Stash. First of all, I want to say a great big hello and a great big thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you especially to those of you that have already made the commitment to join the Facebook group. We've already had a little bit of discussion in there and that's awesome. I hope we'll keep that up and that you will inspire each other to keep going on this journey. Now if you're watching this and it's maybe not a brand new video for you anymore, still come on over to the Facebook group. I plan to keep it open indefinitely as long as people are wanting to join in. It'll be there for you, so don't feel like you've got to be kind of participating live for this to work for you. So yeah, come on over and join in. So get reacquainted with your stash. That's what we're talking about today. So I think one of the reasons that we're buying new stuff, that we're getting ourselves into this position of needing a spending freeze, is because manufacturers and shops, they're very good at presenting their products beautifully. So you walk into a shop, it's all laid out for you, it's easy to see how it all coordinates, it's beautiful. The same with online, it just looks beautiful. So we're totally always being focused on what's new and what's pretty, and we forget what's already pretty because we've shoved it away. Even the best organisation system at home, it's very hard to keep it all out where you can see it. So we forget all the beautiful things that we've got. So today is about, I guess, falling in love with your stash again, really. Said that though, a lot of us have got a lot of stuff. That's why we're here in the first place, and it's not realistic. In fact, it's overwhelming to think that we might be expected to look at every single thing in our stash. It can be counterproductive. We end up, it's just too much and we back off. So mainly what I want to focus on today is actually getting down and making kits out of your existing supplies. Some of you have already alluded to that on the group, which is awesome. So we'll talk about that, but first there's two things that I think we need to address, and that is culling and organising. Now, we've all got different stashes. You know what you've got more than I know what you've got. I only know what I've got. So let's talk about culling first of all. Now, if we're in this situation where we've built up a lot of stash, it's probably happened over a period of time. So what we do is we tend to find that things that we loved when we first bought them, or we thought we were meant to love them even, but we didn't really know what our style was, we might look at it and we're not going to fall in love with it again. Realistically, some of it we're just never going to use. So I don't recommend sitting down and trying to cull your entire stash now. I think that's going to be counterproductive. For some of us, that might take a lot of energy and it's going to distract from our main purpose, which is really to get our creative juices going and reduce our stash that way. But what I do recommend is that as you come across things that you don't love, that you don't think realistically you're going to use, we've got two piles. So pile number one is the I hate it pile. So I know for a fact I'm never going to use that. What you do with that pile is up to you. Obviously recycle what you can rather than trash, but it might be, especially with papers, it might be that you have children or grandchildren that all of a sudden they've got immediate access to that because they can go through a big pile of paper quite quickly. Similarly, you might have a preschool that you could donate it to a children's hospital. So yeah, so things that you absolutely know you're not going to use, there's no point it being in your stash. It's going to detract. You're not going to love your stash if it's full of something that you now consider ugly. So that's your get rid of pile. Your second pile is what I'm going to call your challenge items pile. So something that you're a bit torn, perhaps you really loved it back then and you still like it, but it's still sitting there. So with your challenge items, what I'm suggesting that you do is you give them a time limit. It might be a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever is up to you, to go, okay, I'm going to sit you on my desk. I'm going to try and use you. If I still haven't used you at the end of my 2 months, 6 months, whatever, then you're going in the bin or whatever's going to happen. Now with your challenge items, again, our job is not to overwhelm ourselves. I don't want you to be in a situation where here's my craft desk and here's my challenge items. That's just not going to be realistic. So just keep a few at a time. You might even want to cycle through them a little bit. So you might have a box sitting around somewhere and a much smaller box on your desk of your challenge items. So that's my suggestion there. Okay, now organisation. Now again, you know the state of your supplies. Organisation, again, for some people is a massive task. and it can be very distracting. It can even be expensive. I don't recommend for most of you that you do an organisation now. It's too distracting. The only people I would say put your spending freeze on hold and do an organisation is if you absolutely cannot find a single thing. Like you're just so blocked because nothing's in where it should be, or you have no even idea of where it should be. And I will recommend the organisation system that I used, again on the Facebook page for you. If you do go down that track, I still suggest have a cull as you go. You don't want to be finding storage solutions for things that you're ultimately not going to keep. If possible, still have a go at doing a kit as you go. Yeah, but for the rest of you, if you do think organisation is something that you need to work on, I suggest you do that at the end. That way, hopefully there'll be a little bit less to store, first of all, and you'll have hopefully a bit of a better sense of what products you're using, what products you love, and how you kind of operate and how you want to store things. So that's my suggestions on those two things. All right, now we're going to get into making a DIY kit. Now there are lots of suggestions out there of different ways of putting your own kits together. I'm going to try and link quite a few of those on the Facebook group, maybe one a day, or as often as close as I can get to doing that. You guys certainly do the same. If you know of another scrapbooker that you love and you love the way they put their kits together, by all means link that to the Facebook group as well so that we can all have a look. I am going to share a specific way in a minute, but first of all, let's get down to the rules. Rule number one of DIY scrapbook kits: there are no rules, okay? It's your kit, you get to make it how you want to make it, but there can be some guidelines. So here are my personal guidelines, and again, even my guidelines, they're my guidelines, so feel free to mix it up a bit to a way that suits you. First guideline: most important, kits are not sacred. This applies to the kits that you buy as much as to the kits that you make. And what I mean by that is, first of all, you don't have to the only reason that you would ever need to stick to the supplies you put in a kit is when you're not at home. If you're at a crop, you're at a friend's house, that's literally all the supplies you've got with you. Then it's obviously great to have a kit that's perfectly coordinated, that's got the right amount of everything in it so that you can scrap away from home. But every other time, it's okay to add things to a kit. I have never purchased a bought kit simply because I can't afford it, but if I did, that's what I would do. I would add stuff from my stash to supplement that kit. So you don't have to stick to what you've got. Feel free to add as much as you like. If things are running low, or you suddenly go, gee, I wish I added, more of that coloured cardstock or whatever. White cardstock, for example, it's a given that I will add that. I don't put it in the kit, but inevitably 2 or 3 sheets at least will get used with those supplies. Kits are not sacred also means you don't have to kill every kit. You don't have to keep on going until you've used every scrap of everything. You can if you want to. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's really fun to make lots of pages and get a kit down really low and go, right, how can I put these last little bits in pieces together to make a page? But if you don't feel like that, if you're not feeling it and you're not loving it, you can de-kit anytime you want and just start again. Okay, you can customise the kit to the way that you want it. Just because a bought kit has a certain proportion of embellishment to paper, that doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. You can have more paper, you can have more embellishment, you can have, however you want. I do suggest a manageable size. Probably, it's hard to go less than, say, 8 sheets of paper. Once you get more than 20, it's a bit unmanageable and it's a bit overwhelming, and especially if you get to a time where you're not scrapping as quickly as you like, it can kind of drag on. So let's stick somewhere between that 8 to 20 sheets of paper as a preference. Now, the specific method for putting a kit together that I'm going to suggest to you today, again, you don't have to do it this way, but this is a way I'm suggesting to put a spending freeze kit together, is what we're going to do is we're going to start with just a random sheet of pattern paper. So this here is my pattern papers that I store as multicoloured. Now this is me after a 100-page spending freeze. I do store mostly by colour, but this is what I've got that I call my multicolours. So yeah, I know it's a lot. Oh, I think it's a lot. So I'm going to choose a paper from here to get me started, and as I work on the kit, I'll talk you through some of the other suggestions. What I do know, you may have already seen, I just made a kit recently which is cocoa vanilla inspired, so it's florally, it's butterfly-y, it's girly. So I know for a start I'm not going to be choosing a floral out of here. It's going to be something that doesn't have to be masculine, but it's certainly a little bit more gender neutral. Yeah, and I'll see you over there at my desk. Okay guys, so I'm ready to show you my kit and how I put it together. So this is the pattern paper that I have chosen as the basis of my kit. As you can see, it's a multicoloured paper, and it's very easy to demonstrate this kit because the colours are so clearly, distinct. They're not all sort of in together too closely. So these are the colours that are going to make the basis of my kit. Certainly, if this comes from a collection that you own a bit of still, you can add in as much of that as you want. You can add in as many more patterned, multicoloured papers as you want. Just to show you what I found, I did find 3 other papers which I could include. They've all got a little bit of pink as well as these colours, but they certainly could work. This one is the one I think I actually will keep. And I just wanted to show you these 2, just if you're feeling a bit stuck where you look at a sheet of paper and you think, I don't know if I love that as a background or a big bit of paper, have a look and see if there are elements that you would like to cut up. So for example, in this one, you could obviously cut up coffee cups and use them. I can't imagine doing that, but I certainly can imagine just cutting some of these elements up into rectangles or squares, or even fussy cutting around them, and I could use this paper that way. The same with the globes, and these are perfect because we've got Australia down here, we've even got New Zealand over there, so I'm not planning any travel pages, so I won't keep this one in, but that's another thought. If you can't really imagine using the whole page, have a look and see if there are bits and pieces that you could cut out. So with this sheet I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got 7 different colours, so I thought I'd try and pull 1 to 2 pattern papers, I guess you'd call them B-side papers or cardstock for each colour. Certainly you could change that ratio a little bit, and obviously you can add as much or as little just plain cardstock as you want. If you really didn't like brown, for example, of course you could leave that out, but you can just see that all these colours are going to go together. So I've got my 2 reds, 2 blue, and even though they're not all necessarily going to be an absolute perfect match, but hopefully they'll still look fine together. Now this light blue, it's got a cream base rather than a white base, and you'll hear people talking about that quite a bit, and that is something to consider. I've pulled it in partly because I don't have a lot of light blue in my stash at the moment. It probably won't work with in every other paper in the kit, so that's just something to be aware of. I've got my green, and this is actually from that same paper and glue. It's the only other paper I had from that kit. So obviously these colours on the back are going to match everything as well. And remember, as I said before, your kit is not sacred, so even though this paper is the basis of my kit, it doesn't mean that I have to use this paper like this. It could be that I cut the individual library cards out and use them. They'd be great as journaling cards. I could even turn it over and actually use the glasses on the back, and that would be fine too. Keeping on going, I only had 1 yellow.
See you later, everyone.
Bye. That's my son leaving. Orange and brown. So that 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's my papers. Now for those of you, I know a few of you are saying you find it hard to cut into your brand new beautiful sheets of paper. So another tip for you guys is you can always add in your offcuts. So I've got some larger sized offcuts here, or your 6-inch papers. So that can just be a way of feeling like you've got a little bit of a starting point for your layering without having to cut into your big beautiful sheets of paper straight away. Alright, so this is a spending freeze kit. So what else are we going to include in this kit? Obviously you want to have lots of things that you love and that you're comfortable using, because that way you will want to come to this kit. So things that I love to use at the moment, I often use my wood veneers. So probably for this kit I'll be looking towards my basics, my arrows and my stars and my hearts, and probably my little wooden people will come out again. So that I certainly always use. I always, at the moment, pretty much every layout I make has my DIY dimensional dots. I haven't cut them out yet, but I'll go through the colours that I've got and I'll match again. I'll try and get dots that match each of these colours, or at least most of those colours. But we want to be comfortable, but we also want to stretch ourselves just that little bit. So if you remember those challenge items that we were talking about earlier, why don't we include a couple of those? So my challenge items that I'm including, I'm not actually going to pull out individual bits, but I am just going to have these boxes on my desk. I'm going to have my ribbons out. I've got more ribbon than I really should. That's not all the ribbon that I own. And I'm also going to have this box here, which has got my eyelets and my brads and some sequins. So because I'm challenging you guys to stretch yourselves a little bit, I'm going to try a bit harder than I sometimes do to actually use my challenge supplies in this kit. And the last thing that you may want to include, if it's not compulsory, but I'm suggesting that you also include a tool, because tools are also part of this stash, aren't they? So I'm going to bring out some of my alphabet stamps. Got quite a few, so because this is, I guess, a school themed kit, it's going to work well for kids. I might even choose some of my more kind of kiddie themed stamps. Some of them really haven't been used as much as they should. And other than that, you just go, again, we're thinking about colour, and you just pull in the types of embellishments that you like to use. So you might want to pull in a couple of different colours of alphabet. You might want to go for some word stickers. I haven't really done the whole kit yet, just more for time constraints than anything else. But we're just, like I said, we're just matching by colour. Light blue, we've got green, orange, so you can see how the colours all match. Got a few little mixed colour word stickers there. I guess if you want to start by pulling a little bit more than what I've suggested, so you start with a pile of paper that's more than 20 pages, the way that you would then pull back, so we choose by colour, but if we're going to pull back, probably more by theme is then what you're thinking about. So this, as I said, it's sort of a school themed paper, it's sort of bright, it's sort of young kids, so you wouldn't match this with a more antique-y sort of paper, if that makes sense. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. I'm sure we'd all love to see the kits that you put together, whether you use this technique or another technique, that's fine. A photo or a link to something on the Facebook page would be awesome. Let us know what your challenge items are as well, and maybe we can help each other think of fun ways to use items that we haven't used for a while. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you soon on the Facebook group.